Hello, my name is Matthew, and this is day 13 of Stories for My Friend in Quarantine. We're just one day away. And today I thought I would tell you a little bit about my two cats, Andy and Daphne. They're Maine Coon cats, and a little bit of history and why I came to have them, or how they came into my life. And it starts with one of my oldest friends, someone I've known since high school and have um, kept up with all these years. And she had, at one point, adopted a, a Maine Coon kitten, and his name was Sifl. It was named after an old MTV sock puppet show called Sifl and Ollie. And I met him when he was a little kitten, and every time I got to visit, it was just a joy. He loved me, I loved him, and he was just the happiest little cat. And he got along with everybody, but we had a special connection. So after graduation, my friend was moving to California to start a career in Hollywood. And she knew that I had a special relationship with the cat, and she asked, you know, would I take him and take care of him, which I gladly accepted. And he was my little friend all his life. I knew him for his whole entire life, and he was just a jolly, happy housemate. Um, when I would read, he would crawl up on my chest and stick his face in my face, and he would purr and drool. Um, and yeah, I loved him, and I knew him his whole life, and he passed away. I'll show you. This is a picture. This is my dear old friend Sifl. There he is. He was Maine Coon, so handsome little boy. And not to be too morbid, but here he is also. People, people would make fun of his name. They would say like Sifl. What is that, like syphilis? And I'll say anybody that met this cat, as soon as they met him and interacted and saw just how social and smart he was, how playful he was, how sympathetic he was, no one would make fun of his name after they met him. Before, they would say, oh, like syphilis. The very next time I would see anybody, they would say, well, how is Sifl? How is he doing? So, he just had a great personality about him. And when he died, I was devastated. He was my friend. And it was years before I could even consider thinking about adopting um, another pet or cat. So maybe 2 or 3 years ago, when we made my friend Ben and myself made the decision to build the tiny house, my wheels started turning. Um, and when we were progressing and the build was going along, I became more and more seriously invested in looking for a new friend. I was lucky to find a woman in the neighborhood that had Maine Coons. I met her. So the day that I moved into this house was the day that I picked up Andy. And I brought him here, and we moved in together before we even had the water hooked up. It was only a few days later, so it wasn't any big deal, but um, we moved in together, which is something kind of special. And as I got to know Andy, there's something kind of bitter and sad and also um, heartwarming is that for as much as I loved my old friend Sifl and know that he was a unique, special individual, there is the reality that so much of his um, behavior and sensibilities come from the breed of the cat. That's why I was especially interested in looking into getting a Maine Coon. And it's true. Andy is himself. He is a unique individual. But he has so many of the traits that I just love living with. He's big and happy and social. He's smart. He understands commands. We can talk to one another. He vocalizes. Um, and when he meows and barks and speaks, um, the different intonations um, register with me, and I know exactly what he's thinking, and I know what he wants, and we got along great. And after maybe about a year, um, I got Daphne, and Daphne was to be a playmate for Andy, and also um, just a welcome addition to the household. So we could all have friends. Um, when I started making, um, when I first made this YouTube channel, I named it the Mayberry Book Club, and Andy is named after Sheriff Andy Taylor from the Andy Griffith Show, and he was the sheriff of Mayberry. And when I would sit in my tiny house and open up my book, Andy would come over and sit right next to me, or sit on my leg, or push the book out of the way so he could have all the attention. So when it came to naming this channel, I named it the Mayberry Book Club. If YouTube had been available over 10 years ago and I had the same bug to start a channel, there could have been a chance that I would have named the channel after my dear old friend Sifl. Though I do think the Syphletic Book Club might not have been as popular, though we still would be reading Maupassant together. So that's our quarantine story for day 13. Leave a comment if you would like. This kind of went sideways, but that's okay. I hope you're doing well, and thank you for watching, and take care.